there is a way that you can rewire your brain to like doing hard things. This is known as a dopamine detox, where instead of constantly craving for things like attention, social media validation, social media itself from scrolling, bad habits, drinking, smoking, vaping, eating loads and loads of sugar, not doing what you're supposed to be doing, studying, etc., not studying, rather watching TV, etc., video games, than studying, doing work, etc., all of that kind of stuff. While many people crave doing those activities, there's a way to crave the opposite. And hardwiring and rewiring your brain to not want to do that stuff is what a dopamine detox essentially is. A dopamine detox has a really awful name to it, by the way. It's not a dopamine detox. You're actually increasing your baseline dopamine. If you may have not known this before, whenever you do a bad habit, your dopamine and happiness levels, in a way, pleasure levels, spike, and then they will go down below the level that they were previously at before they spiked. And that will repeat because you want the dopamine, and it will end up just getting lower and lower and lower until you're basically just craving dopamine every second of your literal existence, which is not a fun place to be in whatsoever. But there is a way where you can have a good high baseline dopamine that's off the charts, so you don't want the sort of sugar that's only going to give you a spike that would end up being to here, because you're already up here normally. So you don't really want the sort of sugar, you don't want the vape, you don't want the cigarette, because it only gives you the happiness, the meager pleasure, the temporary pleasure that's down at this level, rather than being happy up to this level. That's what many people don't understand. But before they go on to self-improvement, they always wonder about these people who deprive themselves of enjoyment and all that sort of stuff because they don't drink, they don't do this, they don't do that, they don't have much sugar, etc., etc. They perceive that these people deprive themselves of enjoyment, despite the fact that that's not enjoyable to them anymore, because they hardwired their brain into not liking bad things and liking doing hard things. Many people, including myself, like working out and like going to the gym, but I have experienced and talked to people who can't even fathom being motivated enough to actually work out once at all whatsoever. That's how it like different many people's sort of dopamine levels actually are, because people who don't even want to be motivated to work out because it's painful, admittedly, and sometimes for some people in some people's sort of lifestyles, they'll have to stay up late or get up really early, as I have to personally do in my case right now with college and stuff. I get up at 5:50 every single morning to do a 40-minute sort of CrossFit type of workout. Then on the weekends, I'll do my normal weightlifting. And many people couldn't even fathom doing that for a day. Yet I've hardwired my brain and rewired my brain to like that in a weird sort of sense, like the progress, like the things that I'm doing to my body to make me healthier and happier. And it's a weird sort of thing. I really like the concept of hardwiring and rewiring your brain to like doing hard things. And the first step of that is to just give up bad stuff. And while you can moderate things like sugar, alcohol, vape, cigarettes, not that I'm recommending you to, because by the end of this, chances are you may not actually want to once you've gone through this, but a 4-week or so period of a dopamine detox where you cut out that entirely, and then you go back to sort of not really your old ways, but you reassess, reevaluate, reflect and analyze whether you want to, or whether you're currently enjoying your new life. It's going to the gym every single day, eating healthily, not like doing bad habits and wasting time, and actually working towards a purpose and a goal. If you reanalyze and evaluate after the end of those 4 months, your brain will be so rewired, it will have such high dopamine levels, high baseline dopamine levels, that you may think to yourself, I don't want to go back to where I was, because I'm so happy where I'm at now, because I've just changed my life in the span of 4 simple weeks. Hardwire your brain, rewire your brain, like to do hard things. The exact same thing happened to me when I first started going to the gym. Didn't really sort of think of it that much. I just did it because I had the time to. Then 4 weeks in, 2 months in, I could not get myself away. I would hate taking a rest day. I would hate sort of missing a day on my routine because I was away for a weekend, or all that sort of stuff. I'd find ways to work out in the woods if I was off camping for a weekend. And while I may have been unsuccessful, it shows you how I had rewired my brain to like doing this. Yet a year earlier, I would not have fathomed of being motivated to even go to the gym and work out whatsoever, nor would I have been thinking about doing it 5 days, not even 5 days, 6 days a week even. It's insane how one can rewire their brain to like doing hard things. And it's the same kind of process with generic work and studying. While many people who are older than me, they work towards businesses, they work towards their careers, their jobs. At my age, the common thing that one works towards is studying for grades. Maybe they're not really getting those grades because they want to do the things that those grades are sort of going to get them towards. They're more doing it for social validation, but nonetheless, it's a goal, it's a purpose that many people my age work towards. Problem is that many people don't like to work towards a goal because they don't feel motivated enough to work towards that goal. Or to be frank, they don't really have a goal to work towards in the first place. But once you give up the bad habits, you give some time to reflect and time to yourself, because if you don't have a goal to work towards, if you're not doing things that distract you from life, like watching Netflix, TikTok, if you just had given up those 4 weeks, deleted all social media, etc., if you sort of sat there in your bedroom because you were bored, because you didn't have anything to do, now you'd given up all these bad habits, you'd find a goal pretty quickly. I'd personally assume that's the experience that I personally had with this sort of dopamine detox thing. Anyway, and I'm sure that many other people have had similar experiences where they sort of find something to work towards a few days after kind of starting a dopamine detox, and once they hardwire their brain through sort of working towards that goal, they will hardwire and rewire their brain to like doing that thing because it gives them progress, goals, work towards, motivation, etc. By the time that 4 weeks is ended, their life is transformed because they actually like to do the hard things. They like to work out because they know what it does to them. They know that it gives them sort of progress. They know that they're building themselves up as a person. By working towards a purpose and a goal, they are fulfilling their sort of existence as a person and a human being on this planet. Also interesting, highly recommend that you personally do things like dopamine detoxes, because now people that I'm around often wonder why I don't eat sugar, deprive myself of enjoyment, all that sort of stuff, because I don't want it, because the high that I get from eating sugar is less than my personal baseline dopamine and less than many others' personal baseline dopamine, hence why they don't eat sugar. While that stuff may not be necessarily too bad in moderation, a lot of the time, while that's like a big excuse that people use, in moderation, it doesn't even make you any happier at all, because the peak doesn't do anything, if that makes any sense. So that's why many people who don't sort of are on self-improvement don't do things in moderation, because the moderation doesn't give them enjoyment anymore. So with that, I hope that you sort of understand what dopamine detox is, and I highly recommend subscribing, because I love this community of young tribal people who are willing to improve themselves so much more than they already have, and good luck.